So you can mess around and sort of, I think one year we had one guy did all of the skeleton crews, which is one at New Year's, one at Christmas, one at Thanksgiving. And he used all 3 days to have the week before Christmas as a vacation day. So it's not all bad, I guess. I think we'll go around the island. So we've nearly got this field done. Turn the lights down. Yeah, I have been noticing on my Lawfolds playthrough that I'm in middle of summer at the moment. Sunset's not until 11 o'clock at night, so I think you have to stay up till at least 10 o'clock in order to get the sleep trigger to think that you're actually tired. Which makes for some very long days. Fortunately, you can sleep through till 9 o'clock in the morning. I think the sun comes up at 4 because I'm playing with the Scottish Geo, so Scottish solar patterns as well. This Geo not so bad as we've spoken about it before. It's southwest England, so fairly mild, and this particular year incredibly mild, so much so we can actually do winter planting, which normally you plant your winter crops in the fall and then leave them to grow through winter, or leave them to be dormant through winter and finish during the spring. But that does get you a harvest in late summer rather than in the middle of the fall, so that works out nicely with the weather patterns, giving you a little bit more time to get your harvests in. But this year we're actually not expecting snow, and ground temps are still 7 degrees. I think this is the bigger of the two fields we have down here. The one across the road is smaller. I could do one as canola. Have to get the seeder out from the planter. And we will need a lot more fertilizer, because the seeder doesn't lay down fertilizer while the planter does. But we now have as I said, the doors in place. Contractor did say he was going to come on Monday or Tuesday to fit the door handles, but that didn't happen, so we don't have any door handles on the doors, which is a little bit of a problem, getting them open from one side or closed from the other side. But he did also take our old desk tops down into the basement. I need to run down there sometime this weekend probably, and put the legs back on them so we can use them as craft tables or whatever, or something to put something on, which is what seems to be mostly happening in the basement at the moment. may try and get that done this weekend because it's not a big task. Number 11 wrench and attach the legs. Very, very easy. Yeah, not sure how straight or how parallel that was again. It's hard to say. Perspective may be good. But that does free up some wall space up here in the office. So I have finally taken a trip to the pet store to go and order a cabinet and a fish tank, because our one surviving fish has been living in a fish bowl since the lockdown. So I haven't been able to do anything about getting him a proper fish tank to live in. So step one was order the cabinet, and that's going to be about 2 weeks production, so somewhat close to Christmas we'll be going to pick that up, get in the tank, and then probably over what most people have as Christmas break, and I don't, we'll be starting to set up the tank and acclimate the water and everything else, and it does look a little bit wider at the bottom than it is at this end. So not parallel, but close enough. And then once that's acclimated, we'll relocate the fish into the new tank and get him some friends to play with or eat. That seemed to have been a popular pastime of our previous occupants of his tank. He's the sole survivor, and at least 3 of them got eaten, as far as we can tell. First one used to terrorise the other fish, sort of come and play with me, and no, go away, you're annoying. And so we think the rest of them took him round the back of SpongeBob's house and ate him. But, that stopped most of the shenanigans. And then every so often a fish would disappear. No dead fish, no skeleton, just disappear. I'm pretty sure they didn't climb out and wander off. So we have that going on. But the pet shop is all sorts of pets, which does make it a little bit tricky for me to spend any extended length of time in there, me being allergic to fairy critters and feathered critters. I did have a rather rambunctious parrot next to the checkout that was screaming at everybody, squawking at everybody. Which is okay initially, but that gets old rather quickly. That would be nice to have some fish in the house again, or more than one. And moving that one fish tank will give us more room in the kitchen, because of the lockdown. We just, furniture's non-essential. You can't go out and buy furniture, so no, thank you. It did mean that the only flat surfaces we had in the house for 4 months was the kitchen counters and the computer desks, and not putting fish on the computer desks because water and electronic equipment tends not to mix too well. So the fish went and lived in the kitchen. If he comes out of the kitchen, that gives us a little bit more room in the kitchen on the counters for stuff. Would be nice to put the microwave there, but it's the wrong angle, corner, wall piece, so you'd have to go into the dining room to put things into the microwave if you put it there. I've never seen a left-handed microwave. It would be nice if there were some, because that would fit quite nicely with the orientation of our kitchen. But the house is finally getting into a fairly settled state. Obviously, going forward with an adoption, we had to get a bedroom ready to go, occupied, which is unusual for us. We usually end up with, more boxes. Stick them in the bedroom. That bedroom's full. Okay, stick them in the other bedroom. That wasn't an option, so it was stick them in the bedroom. Oh no, we can't put them in the other bedroom because the bed has to go in there, and a dresser and a child. So everything ended up in the basement instead. But I think the problem with the basement is previous owner built a temporary room that's not up to code at all. So just put the wooden supports and a sort of bolted them together at the top to form a support for a plastic roof. And she did her yoga in there and had a little heater and stuff like that. Well, we've taken the plastic wrap off the room so that we can actually walk through it, because it took up half the width of the basement, so you couldn't get from one side of the basement to the other side of the basement on that side of the house. So taking all the plastic wrap off now allows you to walk through the room on that side of the basement. You have to step over the wooden battens on the floor, but at least it's a fair thoroughfare. But we need to get that taken down so that we can actually use that space functionally rather than it just being somewhere where you can walk through. But then the rest of the basement's not particularly packed. It's not, the problem is more a case of boxes are strewn around everywhere, so there's no coherent, clear area. But if we stacked all the boxes in a corner, most of the basement would be usable. So it's not a bad thing. Obviously, we've got one corner that now has the furnace and the hot water tank. And consideration of putting in a utility room so the younger kids, when they come over and play down in the basement, eventually won't be in and out of somewhere they don't need to be going. Yeah, you don't need to be checking out the hot water tank, you don't need to be checking out the furnace. And I was also considering, because we got a whole glut of electrical outlets in there, because I thought we were probably going to need to plug the furnace into one of them. I may have some shelves put up, and we can store all the battery chargers for the cordless drills and the cordless saws and the cordless screwdrivers and the various other electrical implements that we have that run on batteries. At least that way we'll know where all the batteries are when we want to use something, and there would be a good chance of the batteries having a good supply of power in them. The problem at the moment is I'll use the drill a few times sporadically, and then I'll be in a situation of, I need to make a hole in something. I'll just go and get the drill. And or I need to drill 4 holes into something. And I get the drill, and I drill the first hole, and I get halfway through the second hole, and the battery dies. It's, okay, I've got to go recharge that now. So I can't do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And that's happened a few times where, Mrs. Osa wants something done, and it's sort of, yeah, I'll do it this afternoon around 2 o'clock after lunch. That'll be convenient. And I start doing it at 2 o'clock. I blocked that time off with plans to, okay, I need to go grocery shopping after I've done that around 4 o'clock, and you end up, well, I've just burnt 45 minutes drilling a hole and a half, and now I've got to tidy that out of the way, because otherwise people get annoyed that you've left your drills and your wood and your screws and your everything else lying around. So you have to clear it all up, let the battery charge, and then go back to it 2 hours later and get everything out again. And the job ends up taking twice as long as you planned for it to do, and you don't have enough time to go grocery shopping. So having a utility room and general storage closet in the basement will probably be useful. This house is short of storage closets. I'm guessing previous owner, when they had the hot water tank and the furnace in the laundry room, there's nowhere to put anything. You've got a closet in each bedroom and the cabinets in the kitchen, and that was it. Because previous owner moved the hot water tank, we moved the furnace. And probably about 2 weekends ago, maybe 3. I bought a ton of wood and cut it into various lengths, and we now have an open face pantry in the laundry room. So there is more room to store some stuff, but we still don't have anywhere to put the shovel and the broom and vacuum cleaner for upstairs. Previous owner left us a shovel where she'd taken the metal edge off it so that it didn't scratch the deck or get caught in the deck nails. So there's a snow shovel for upstairs, so you can clear the deck, and then a fully functional one with the metal leading edge and what have you for cleaning out the patio and anywhere else outside in the yard that you want to clear off. Personally, I don't tend to do much of that. If it's snowing outside, I'll sit indoors and look at the snow. Very occasionally go out and buy food because I need some and I'm hungry. But, actually going out in the snow and doing stuff, I can look at it being pretty through the window. That's good for me. So things are coming along nicely, I think now. I mean, we're probably 3-4 months behind where we wanted to be with all the work and getting the house settled and what have you. Of course, Michigan's on lockdown again, so no eating out. As far as we're aware, church is open on Sunday this week. They've been in lockdown because too many people have COVID. So, not that the too many people caught COVID in the church or from anyone at church. They just too many people have COVID, so we're not eating for anybody. That's over and done with as of Wednesday, so Sunday will be open again for normal. And of course our local child is, yeah, we get to go to church, we get to eat out. No, we don't get to eat out, we just get to go to church because eating out is still closed. Who knows how many restaurants are still going to be open this time round, because I think we're going to the week before Christmas. I don't know. But this is definitely putting a lot of small businesses out of business. Because this is the time of year that small businesses make a significant amount of their profits, and they're not going to make anything come January, February. Maybe round about March time is Mother's Day or whatever, and Easter. That's when things generally start picking up retail-wise, but for January, the only people you see is the people coming in and saying, oh, my great aunt bought me this and I really detest it, can I trade it for something else? And yeah, you're not selling anything, you're not making money. Now as an employee, as you know, in a retail operation, that's not something that particularly concerns me. Or at least in the past I was. But my employer, they kind of want to be selling stuff because they're still paying me to work there. So if you're not selling anything, it's horrible. I know some friends who work in the, what do they call it, hospitality industry. Restaurants, bars, that sort of thing. And they're like, we've got no money to buy presents for our kids because we're not working, so no tips. Their base salary is horrible. But it's usually expected. You don't make a lot of money working in a restaurant. On your pay, you make a lot of money from your tips. And when the restaurant's closed for 6 weeks leading up to Christmas, that's zero income. I mean, you can't even afford to pay the bills and keep the lights on at home. And while I've never worked that way, I have, the companies I've worked on have been, there's usually a Christmas bonus because the store does exceptionally well in the run up to Christmas, so there's extra money and they'll bonus out the staff, and that helps from my perspective on the receiving end of that. I'm paying the rent, I'm paying the electric bill and everything else and buying food on my salary, and all of a sudden I've got a little bit extra that I can use to buy presents for people at Christmas, and not getting that this year, or at least not in Michigan if you work in retail. And good morning, Taylor, and welcome to the stream. Happy Thanksgiving. So what's everybody's plans for Thanksgiving? As far as I understand, at least one football game is not happening. It's being rescheduled for Sunday. Don't know about the rest of them. So for those of you still watching football, that might not be a thing this year. As per usual with us, it's just the household for Thanksgiving food. My family are in the UK and they don't do Thanksgiving over there. And my wife's family live in Ohio, and generally we've never had a Thanksgiving get together on that count. So it's like a 4-hour drive each way. It's not like you can do it. Plus, I mean, there's always the risk of snow. So even if we did plan to, there's the potential that, yeah, there's 8 feet of snow on the roads and we'll have to call it off at short notice. So we've never even bothered trying. So as I said, just us. I think we got a proper turkey this year, a small one, rather than we usually get a sort of a boned turkey breast roll thing that's perfectly adequate for 2 of us. We still end up making too much food and eating for days. Okay, well that's that field done. Go lines. Yeah, I must admit, I haven't watched football probably for about 5 or 6 years now. I used to watch it every Sunday, but right about now I kind of got fed up with it, and with all the shenanigans going on at the moment, it's sort of, I don't care. It's kind of like Hollywood. I don't care what your political opinions are about anything. I watch you play football. I watch you for entertainment, not for whatever, your political messages. So I have been less inclined to watch football this year than I have any previous year, but I kind of gave it up 5 years ago, so it's not really a thing as far as I'm concerned. Okay, what's the ground temp? Ground temps are 7 still. Let's run this cultivator around the back and see what we can do. So I still want the cultivator available for when those belts need to be rearranged, for when our new tractors or our new field has finished ploughing. I think we can probably jump over there, see how it's going. It's not doing too badly. It's a fairly respectable 90 degrees isn't one of the favoured angles on this map. It's sort of 120, 60, 85, I don't know, but those plough lines aren't particularly straight. Okay, so what have we got? We just did that field. That field is 16, that field is 13, so 20. I'm going to put wheat on that field. I kind of was planning sunflowers on both of those. That's not the screen I'm looking for. Temperatures are coming up. It's this point here. Early morning on Friday is going to be 6 degrees air temps, and then the air temps are going to be lower later in the year, although that's rain. I'll give it a couple of days, maybe wait until Saturday today? This is late. This is mid day 4, the early day 5, late day. Late 5, late 6. Spring is on Sunday. See how the temperatures look for early in the morning, and make a decision on when we're putting in sunflowers or not.